state office the other day, and Lori showed me pictures of it. That thing was massive.
It didn't hit anything.
Took out their fence.
I had 2 limbs.
Better the fence than the
That's
house.
about how theirs was. Yeah.
Wow.
Limbs.
I bet you've been busy with all the storm damage, because I've seen it
Downtime.
everywhere.
Wasn't bad.
Studerman and A.
That's
when that
good.
storm
Oh,
hit the
really?
other
That's
night.
good.
And I swore I was in the middle of a tornado.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
the way my truck was
We're
rocking.
moving right
I
along.
was
I've
on
been
a
very
golf course.
impressed
Oh, jeez.
with
We just, we were gonna tee off and that wind
No,
started.
we're
and we
waiting
teed
to
off,
hear
my ball
from
went,
Storm Guard.
and then came back.
But I got.
It came
the
out
That's
picture.
not how it's supposed to happen.
You know,
It
part
landed
of
back on the tee box.
And I
mean, I
when we
smacked it.
met, we picked out the roof,
I
and I paid them
Yeah.
half of the roof,
I think
so
it'd be a
they've
little
got
more
the money.
intimidated
It
because
was
So we're
tough.
just waiting
It
to
was
hear.
time to leave.
But I mean, I've been very impressed. It's
I don't know why
been
we
very
teed
smooth.
off.
So,
That was stupid.
and, hello. Well,
Get her done.
I'd like to call to order the Washington Historic Preservation Commission meeting for Monday, August 16th. If we could have roll call, please.
Carolyn Witt,
Here.
Steve Struberg, Brian Bogue, Rick Hopp,
Here.
Danielle Grotwheel, Jamie Holtmeyer, Andrew Clary, Tyler King,
Here.
Joe Holtmeyer.
Here.
Greg Scornia.
Here.
Sal Maniaci.
Here.
Tom Melvin.
Thank you. If you'd like to rise for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes, which was a while ago, June 21st?
If anyone had time to read them.
I read
That's
over
all
them.
right.
I'll motion to approve.
Okay, excellent. We have a motion. We have a
I'll
second?
second it.
We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent, it passed. New business, design review, the 8th of Lafayette, or the number 8 Lafayette. We did that by email, and we need to put it on the record. Does someone wish to move to put that on the record that it was approved
It's
for?
the new condos?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I so move.
Second.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Is that going to be one, I kind of looked at that.
Two
thing. I
units.
couldn't figure that out.
So 2 units up top, and then the garages down below are for the people that live across the alley. So two residential units and then 4 or 5 storage garages.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to tell when you look at a diagram what exactly, and you don't have.
It'll look
anybody-
nice, yeah.
Yeah, and you don't have anybody to ask very easily on the email, so that's good. You brought that up. Okay, all those in favor of putting it on the record that it received its review? Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. I don't think we have any potential grants.
Well, so our budget, I can talk about this in budget report too,
Thank
but
you.
in our budget for 2022, 21, 22, it started October 1st, I requested some additional funding to apply for a district at the City Auditorium, City Pavilion, and Pool House. Those qualify really because of their age, but also because they're built with New Deal money, and the certain circumstances under how things were funded could qualify. So I submitted funding for that, and the reason for that being is that if we do get it registered as a district, then the city can then apply for grants to rehab them. We have that budgeted in capital improvement to a certain amount, but we wouldn't be able to do all 3. When I say all 3, the upstairs of the pool house, there's some discussion about maybe moving the parks office there. Would need a lot of rehab, and then the auditorium needs insulation, and since we have that barrel roof, it has to be done on the outside, and then the pavilion's in pretty good shape. But, so we're gonna get that reviewed, and we're actually gonna pay for that ourselves, and then use individual grants in that same budget year to then apply for funding for it. So.
That's great. Did you catch all that?
The recording did.
Excellent, excellent, because that is good news.
Yeah.
I would like to change my vote on that Lafayette. And I would just abstain. I'm not involved in it at all,
Okay,
but
No problem.
well, she'll put that in the record. That's fine.
I'm not against it at all.
Right.
But it's distant relative, and I usually
No,
don't vote.
no, that's fine.
No problem.
that is really cool, because I was so glad that the old pool house was not scheduled to be gotten rid of with all of this new plan, because that's, anything WPA is pretty cool, and it was usually built to last, so
Yep.
it may need work, but it's a good basic. This is excellent. That was good news, and thank you for watching out for us, because you're our man to go to.
No
Is that
problem.
one of the last roofs that have that design in it, that, I know, it's got some kind of architectural term.
Yeah, probably, it's called a barrel, they're talking about the auditorium?
Yes.
Yeah, the barrel roofing,
Yeah, there's supposed to be only 2 left in Missouri or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
I know Bridget had that on the top of her head, but I know that was, we put we went out to bid for, or not bid, but when we had our environmental group who did an audit of all of our city buildings to see what our energy audit, that was what I was looking for. They even said, it'd probably be cheaper to insulate from the inside, but we said, no, with that barrel roof, we need to leave it, and so they came up with a plan to insulate it from the outside.
Right. I think the Historical Society had posted something on Facebook about it, and that there was only one other. So that's cool.
Yep.
That's good. Okay. Well, that's the budget report, so we got that taken care of. And thank you. As I said, you're our guy to go and keep us in the works for the budget. Potential grants, I know, I don't think we have anything, though downtown's been doing pretty well, kind of. Education and conferences, I know there's a Main Street conference. Is it this month or next month?
It'll be next month in Trenton, Missouri. It's not necessarily around revitalization. It's more of a Main Street boot camp.
Right.
All-encompassing day training about just Main Street in general. I believe that is on the 24th of September.
I know that's a good thing to have up there, because between Marceline and, there's maybe an interest, Chillicothe up there, that, there may be people who want to know more information, and that's the basics, so
Yeah.
that's good.
That's the same week as MML in St. Louis, so some of us won't be able to go, but if anyone else, we do have training funding. If anyone wants to go, we'll let the board know that, so.
Oh, that's very good. If you'd share that with everybody, Jamie, because that is, if you can find something that would qualify for this, it would be close.
Right.
Yeah.
And the funding would be available to pay for it. So that would be good. And I know we have people that probably need that. Curb appeal, I made my 3rd visit to the law office. I missed the picture, so if you could send me a picture of that,
Yeah.
of the picture at Angelina's. She was ecstatic. She was so excited.
It was a good picture.
And apparently she has it in the restaurant, and as you go in, it's there
She
on the
has
wall.
her certificate right on the countertop there.
There
where
you
would
go.
order your
That's right.
sandwiches, so.
So that was a real winner. And I have not heard, this is the 3rd time I've been to the law office, Ben Holtz, and I told the girl, I said, if he's not interested, that's not a problem, but I'm not going to harass you anymore. And so I'm having Jamie look up the owner, so I get a phone number for the house on West 5th. It's in the 900 block. It's between 905 and 915. It doesn't have a number. And they put the new porch on, and they did a path, and I think that would be a good one.
Wait,
So I'm
doesn't-
hoping to get that going.
Doesn't Brian own that? The one with the new porch on Second Street?
No, she was.
No, this is
Fifth Street, I'm sorry.
West 5th.
Okay.
It's in between 905 and 915.
Okay, I was thinking the Second Street. He did a porch on Second Street, so.
Well, I tell you, he's really working on that building. That's going to be one down the road, I'll tell you.
Carolyn, did you see Jamie Holtmeyer's email yet about curb appeal?
So she emailed everyone today with just kind of an idea of how to move forward with curb appeal, of having nominations.
Excellent.
Yeah, so it got sent to everyone just about an hour and a half ago, so
Oh, see,
we'll look at
I
it.
don't sit at my computer.
Yeah, so it's basically, instead of having a committee, just having a nomination period, since we only meet 4 times a year, having a nomination at at each meeting, and then it can be done via email, dominated, and we can vote on it here, and that way we can hopefully have, 4 times a year, we can have a list of them, so.
Good.
Rather, because there's really, the plaques is where there's a lot of homework that needs to be done. The curb appeal, we really don't need a committee to go out and do any homework. We just need to
No.
nominate and let people know that they won. I mean, Ben Holtz, we could just tell them that he won, and if he wants the plaque, he wants the plaque. If he doesn't, you know what I
That's
mean?
true.
It
That's
doesn't.
true.
You can nominate and give anyone an award regardless. So
Whether they
Yeah.
whether they want it or not, they're gonna get it, yeah.
So
Well, if I hear back from him, fine. If not, we could just
yeah.
put the word out and see if anybody wants their picture.
But I thought she gave a list of just the steps that she would take, and I thought it was a good idea. It was a lot simpler rather than having a committee pick
Simpler
it.
is good,
So,
simpler, especially since we're down to 4 a year.
yeah.
We needed something to,
You got a Bush home on Elm and a Bush home on Cedar that I think would be great.
yeah. On Elm and Cedar. I know the one on Cedar.
The one next to Jim Hartman was Bush home. Ulrich Bush?
Right, right. Yeah, she came to planning and zoning about, she was worried about the C3 zoning overlay,
Yeah.
which we should probably,
So that was Hartman, Mrs. Hartman.
right. 419 Cedar. But she mentioned the Bush, Ulrich Bush had lived there. We're still not doing anything else on plaques, I think, at this moment. And the Calvin is I would think it would get to the point where eminent domain is probably, I mean, either that or it's gonna fall down and be a hazard to the neighbors.
Yeah.
But that's something the city has to decide, because I wish we could tell you we had somebody with pots of money to step in and do something, but that's, as I said, that's always on agendas, and makes you sad,
The problem with eminent domain is then taking over liability.
yeah. Under other business, Sal, would you tell us a little bit, they might not be up on the C3, because even though that doesn't affect us directly, it's increasing the reach of the historic district to a point in our
The
downtown.
parking is really the biggest thing that helps save buildings. So there's been discussion for a couple of years really that our C3 downtown zoning district is not really contingent. It's not orderly. It doesn't even, there's gaps in it. And if you're going to have a downtown zoning district, it really should be contiguous. And when people were asking for rezonings of that, if they were outside or weren't contingent with existing downtown zoning, we recommend denial, because at what point do you say yes or no if it's not contiguous? Someone could be a block away and you allow it, and then that next person's 5 blocks away and they ask for it. And so we wanted to come up with a definitive growth boundary of what is downtown. And when I say what is downtown for zoning purposes, 0 lot lines, mixed use, and no parking. Those are really the 3 big things that we wanted to say. This is in that district. It then alleviates hurdles when someone buys a historic property. They don't have to go through the rezoning and send out all this notice to the neighbors, and whenever they could just they want to do this investment and throw in all these public hearing hurdles. And also in other zone districts, if you want to do something and you already, say you have an existing structure on Market Street that takes up the whole lot, and you want to do a mixed use where you have apartments and then maybe an office, which is very historically accurate and appropriate for the building, in the current zoning there on Market, they would have to provide off-street parking, which would mean they would either have to get a lot next door or tear down probably an adjacent building to then provide parking. And so we wanted to define that growth boundary. P&Z has looked at it for over 3 months now. We've gone back and forth 3 different months and readjusted this map. What we decided to do, we went back and forth between overlay district or not. What we decided to do is draw this boundary, and then any property in that boundary that wasn't currently C3, we decided just to rezone. And so we sent out 84 letters. There's 84 properties in there that weren't zoned properly. And it wasn't just 1 or 2 different zoning districts. There was 4 zoning districts in that area. So it was not contiguous and orderly at all. And so now, hopefully, we'll have a new growth boundary. It'll have front to Market, Market down to 6th, actually, so anything touch 6th, 6th over to Elm, and then it actually kind of stair steps down. So the reason it stair steps as you go west, each block you get one more block in till you get all the way to Rhine River. And the reason we did that is that we actually did not want to include the historic properties on Elm and Cedar and so forth, because those are already zoned R2 overlay. They allow for the two-family. That's not really a mixed use, wouldn't be appropriate there. The zero lot line wouldn't be appropriate there because there's not really any empty lots anyway. The benefit of what you see down here is you don't want any more empty lots in the other district. You want to be utilizing all the space that we have and not make people tear down for parking. On Cedar is a really good example. We didn't want to include that in C3 because up and down on each side of Cedar, it's already developed. Those are old historic Victorian homes. We didn't want to change that style. So it's very straightforward on front, Market, 6th, and then as you go west, we kind of stair-stepped it down. We had a public hearing where after we sent out all 84 letters, about 13, 14 people showed up. We really didn't have any pushback. We had one family who was a little concerned about having the possibility of mixed use next to them because they're in single family. After it was shown to them that they're actually in C2 overlay, which already allows for mixed use, they had a vacant lot right next to them. They're worried what can go in there. Currently, you could already put in commercial mixed use in there. The only thing that this does allow is to, instead of having a 10-foot setback on the street, they could go 0 on the street, which a lot of those houses on Elm are already, or buildings already at 0. So I do think this will make, it's funny when someone calls me and they're like on 4th Street, but right here, even 4th and Jefferson, I know it's like our property, but someone wants, it says, hey, I bought a property downtown, I want to do X, Y, Z. Well, you pulled up, according to our zoning map, they're not actually downtown. And that I felt was not right. When someone says, why on 3rd Street I can do 0 lot line mixed use and a block up where someone across the street has been doing it forever and it's grandfathered in, why are we mixing up these zonings? And so now we'll have a very organized downtown district. We're going to, with that rezoning, that it'll go to council in September, we're also going to have a code amendment to actually change the definition of C3. Right now, it just talks about the historic nature of downtown and historic area. We're actually going to define these boundaries and say this is the growth, what we're calling it a growth boundary of our downtown district. So when someone comes in, and even if they're on Locust, they're only a block away, they can say, and they're going to request to come into the downtown district, we're going to say, no, our code is clear that this is what we consider the boundary. If you want a petition to be in that C3, it's not just a rezoning. You need a petition to council to change that definition and make a pretty big case as to why that should be extended even more. Because say in 10 years, as hopefully we start filling in, this investment continues, and we start doing infill downtown, I think someone can make a case as expanding that boundary. But for right now, I think we have a very wide boundary. It actually started at 4th. We went to 5th to cover some, we saw the Historic Society had pictures of Market, 5th and Jefferson, and what that intersection used to look like. It looked like Main and Elm. You had buildings all the way up to it, same with where Purcell used to be. Fish Street in that whole corridor looked very similar to Elm, or Elm or Main, where you had 0 lot line all the way up. And in reality, if someone wanted to come back and restore, say someone bought the Purcell lot and they wanted to restore what it looked like historically, maybe put some parking in the back because it's a big lot, but put 0 lot lines up on those streets there, why would we turn that down? Why would we add a hurdle? And so that's why we expanded that boundary to 5th. And the only reason I got down to 6th even was Emmanuel Lutheran and St. Peter's. They're on 5th and they own the whole block. And so when you do a zoning, you can't do it on half a parcel. You got to follow the parcel line. So it went all the way down to 6th, just in that area. It kind of narrows up to the south. So we decided just to make it square and clean, right at Emmanuel Lutheran down to St. Peter's, we'll follow 6th Street. And everything north then down to the river will be considered in this downtown district. So in reality, we made sure to make clear in the letter it's not going to change anyone's taxes. They're not going to have to stop doing anything at their property. Everything they're doing now can continue to be done. What's actually happened is bringing them into conformance. We have a lot of people, I don't know why it was back in the day when we drew our first zoning boundary, but if you look from Market over to past Locust, so what's the one next one past Locust? Is that Hooker Street? Or it goes Market, Locust,
Walnut?
Hooker,
Hooker, it is Hooker.
Hooker?
That, and all the way from Maine up to Fifth is all zone multifamily. The entire area is zone multifamily. Most of those are single-family homes. Like, so a lot of it's not even in conformance anyway. I don't know how that happened way back when. So we're slowly starting with overlay districts and rezoning, getting this kind of, all these historic areas ironed out. So I think it'll be good in the long run, and it'll save us for controversial P&Z meetings when someone asks for downtown zoning and we don't really have a leg to stand on other than, no, you're not in the downtown district. Now we can say,
Now we have something to
this is
point
it.
at.
This is it. So I think it'll be
That's
good.
good.
And the only reason it's not going to council this month is that since we added those 3 properties on 6th Street, we have to send another letter, go back to council or P&Z in September, and then the second meeting in September, we will have the final public hearing. So,
And if you're interested, he does have a good map that will show you that.
yeah, and I'm sorry, I didn't have everything locked
No,
up.
no,
I wasn't
no, that's-
anticipating turning
that's-
that on today.
That's fine. But I think it's one of those things, I loved it, was just quoted to me recently, that if you don't continue to grow and change, you're falling behind. And I think that's one thing that makes Washington really unique is we're constantly looking to the next, whether it's, not just historic, but also industrial park, whatever. They're always looking at the next step, and that's a good thing. Is there any other business?
yeah, I would like to mention something about the Calvin. When I worked in Sullivan, I think, I don't remember the name of it, I think it was called Merrimack Cinema, was up there by the old Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
And they converted it into a Buffalo Wings restaurant. Well, it was set up the same way as the Calvin. You come in off the street and you go up a little bit, then you get in and then you go down. And you go down, it's at a slant, you go all the way down to the basement. There's like probably 12 foot of fall from the entrance to the seating area to the stage. You would have to, they knocked a wall out and haul rock in to level the floor. You can't do anything with the Calvin until you level the floor. And the only way you're gonna get rock in there is if you tear out the back wall, and then this building is not, doesn't have a lot of structural credibility in my opinion. I'm not an engineer, but the engineering that I've been around, I wouldn't tear that wall out to save my soul. Well, that's kind of the hang-up on the Calvin. That's gonna be a big ticket to level that floor. You can't put in a traditional floor joist, because with the load, a live load is gonna be too great. You're gonna need a concrete floor for anything of that big of a building. And on this 0 lot line, it's 0 side yards too,
In C3?
in C3?
Yes.
I don't think the fire department's gonna approve a lot of side plats that way. You can't get fire equipment around them.
It's already existing. Think about Maine and Elm and all that. I mean, that's what C3 is.
Yeah, but this is a new thing.
Well, think about what we just built on Andy's townhomes. They just have to have new fire ratings.
Well, Bill Holmick said it's the worst thing city ever did.
Bill Helmick would have bulldozed downtown if he could have. We don't worry. Tim Frankenberg and Mark Scornia were at P&Z and we talked about this. So, fire department has been briefed and they know about the rezoning. So,
I'm just checking this out for the Hartmans.
yeah,
I personally don't have a problem with it.
yeah. So yeah, they.
But I told the Hartmans I didn't think anything would happen because there's no side yards there to put the fire out. But
Yeah, they would have to put up some big fire rating.
I've got to go back and talk to them about it. They left town right after the meeting.
Okay. Well, if there's no other business, our next meeting will be Monday, November 15th. That seems a long way off. And keep us posted if anything comes in, please.
Yep. I
Is
send
there-
those out the second they come in, so.
Is there a last motion to adjourn?
I'll motion to adjourn, Carolyn.
I'll
There's-
second it.
There's a
All
second.
right.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Well, thank you guys. Sorry about the change up in time. We are originally supposed to have a budget workshop at 6, and then it got changed. I already had it earlier. I think you had it when I was gone. I don't know.